Good morning, students. The topic for the today is the pregnancy and the embryonic development. As we have seen in the last lecture, that the implantation has taken place in the blastocyst stage, where we have the outer covering, that is the trophoblast, and the inner is the mast cell, inner mast cell. Now, after the implantation, the trophoblast gives out finger-like projections on its outer surface known as chorionic villi. Now these chorionic villi are surrounded by the tissue of the mother or the uterine tissue, which contains the blood vessels from the mother. Now these chorionic villi along with the tissue of the mother, they forms a junction, or you can say interaction between both of them. They come in close connection with each other. This interdigitation, that is clasping like a finger with each other, forming a structures and a functional unit. This structural and the functional unit is called as placenta. So what is the placenta? It is the outer layer from the blastocyst, which has given out finger-like projections and surrounded by a maternal tissue. So this forming a junction is known as a placenta. Now what is the major role of the placenta? It will help in the exchange of the gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. Along with that, the nutrient will be provided to the fetus. So not only that, along with that, the excretory waste material produced by the embryo or the fetus, developing fetus, will be eliminated through the blood by the process of diffusion. Now this placenta is also known as a temporary endocrine gland because it is formed only during the pregnancy. So this endocrine gland again secretes the hormone, as we know that the endocrine gland produces the hormone. The first hormone which is produced is the chorionic gonadotropic hormone. This is not only helping in the development of the chorionic villi in the trophoblast, this hormone is also used to test the pregnancy. If this hormone is present in the female urine, then she is said to be pregnant. Second, the hormone is the human placental lactogen. This hormone is required for the development of the mammary glands. The mammary glands now undergo differentiation. They have already been formed, but now they will undergo differentiation, and later at the end of the pregnancy they will start producing the milk. The placenta again produces the hormone estrogen and progesterone. We have already studied if these hormones level fall, the endometrium will rupture. So to maintain the endometrium or the inner lining which has grown during the menstrual phase, these hormones are secreted from the placenta so that they do not rupture. Unfortunately, if in some female this hormone level decreases, that leads to the rupturing of the inner lining or degeneration of the inner lining of uterus, which may cause the loss of pregnancy or the abortion in the females. Now another hormone which is produced, that is called as a relaxin. This is the secreted in the later stage of the pregnancy when the birth has to take place. So its role is in the parturition to bring about the fetus or to relax the muscles of the pelvic region or the uterine cavity so that the fetus can easily pass through the vagina or the birth canal. Now from the placenta, which has been formed by the trophoblast, we know there was an inner mast cell. Outer layer was a trophoblast. There was an inner mast cell was there. Now this inner mast cell will start dividing into an embryo. So there is a junction, there is a tube which connects the both, that is called as an umbilical cord, which joins the placenta with that of a fetus, and it helps in the transport. Placenta is a site of exchange between the maternal and the fetal tissue. Whatever the placenta has absorbed, that is being carried, transported to the embryo through the umbilical cord. Now the level of these hormone various level of the hormone like estrogen, progesterone, and the other hormone is maintained by placenta, whereas the thyroxine and the other hormone is secreted by the mother endocrine gland. Now, as the pregnancy has started, the embryonic development starts. The following changes will be occurring. The inner mass cell inner to the trophoblast differentiate into a outer layer called as ectoderm, and the inner layer known as endoderm. So these are two first germ layers which are formed. Followed by this, there is another third layer is formed, that is called as mesoderm, which is formed in between the two layers, that is ectoderm and endoderm. So three germ layers are formed initially. These three germ layers give rise to the different types of the tissues and the organ in the fetus and in the adult. So these inner layers which have been formed from an inner mass cell are also called as stem cells, have a potency or the ability to give rise to all the tissues and the organ within the human. So in case of human, if you can see, this is a placenta, outer region which has been formed from the trophoblast, followed by we have an umbilical cord. You can see this is the umbilical cord, inner part, followed by this is the embryo which has developed from the inner mass cells. On the side there is a cavity which contains, or you can say there is a cavity of the uterine cavity or the uterus. There is a region between the outer trophoblast region and the inner mass cell that is fluid with the fluid. This is called as amniotic cavity, and it is filled with amniotic fluid. So in human, after the 1 month of pregnancy, the first is the heart is formed, which ensure that the circulation within the fetus starts, so that the heartbeat also start, which now supply whatever is received from the umbilical cord to the different part of the fetus. Followed by the 2nd month, limbs and the digits start to develop. By the end of the 3rd month or first trimester, we divide the pregnancy into 3 trimesters, that is the duration of 9 months into 3 months each. So in the first trimester, the major organ systems are formed. During the 5th, the movement of the fetus will start. So the fetus will start showing, as it is growing, it will show some more types of the movement within the amniotic fluid, because it is surrounded by the amniotic fluid, which not only helps to provide the space for the movement, for the growth, as well as it prevents the fetus from injury and the jerks during the activity of the mother. So it has a very important role. Not only that, it provides a medium in which the fetus can grow easily. Now, after the 5th month, the 6th month, 2nd trimester, which is completing, the body is covered with the hair, eyelids, and the eyelashes are formed. By the end of 8th month, the testes in the males descend into the scrotum. By the 9th month, that is around 270 days, and the time period is completed, the fetus is fully developed and ready for the birth. So these are the changes taking place, major changes taking place in the 3 trimesters during the pregnancy. So when the 9th month or the 270 days, which is also known as a gestation period. So what is a gestation period? It is the duration of a pregnancy in the human. When that period is completed, so there the role of the hormone relaxin comes into the play, which is secreted by the placental gland, which helps in the softening of the connective tissue of a pubic region or symphysis pubica. So when the pubic region is softened, it will allow the easy movement of the child from the vagina or the birth canal. Followed by, there is a hormone that is called as oxytocin. also known as a birth hormone, which induces the contraction, vigorous contraction of the uterus. When the child is fully formed, there a reflex is generated. Then the fully formed, this is a very important question. When the fully formed is there, then a reflex is generated which induces this vigorous contraction, and this reflexes is given by the fully formed child and the placenta, which induces complex neuroendocrine mechanism. Now this neural, nervous as well as the endocrine mechanism causes initially a mild uterine contraction called as a fetal ejection reflexes, which is induced by a minute pain, also known as labor pain. So as soon as this minute contract or the mild contraction initiate, the hormone oxytocin increases from the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland, which causes the stronger contraction, starting from the fundus region of the uterine cavity towards the cervix region. As this contraction increase, the baby is expelled out from the uterus through the birth canal, and this process is known as parturition or the process of parturition. If after the delivery of the baby, by the strong contraction, uh, the placenta is also expelled out from the uterus, and after the expelling of placenta as well as the young one or the fetus, newborn fetus, what was connecting them is the umbilical cord, which you must have seen or heard that has to be amputated. So after that amputation, these the baby is now free to live. Now, in the mother, the next process after the parturition start is the lactation. That is the let down of the milk or the milk, which is again being done by the prolactin hormone, which is developing or differentiating the mammary glands, and they start producing the milk. This process is called lactation, and the first milk which is produced, which is very viscous, rich in fats, which contain immunoglobulins to provide the antibodies to the newborn, and rich in the other nutrients, so that the newborn baby get the passive type of the immunity against number of the diseases and the nutrient for the growth of the newborn baby. That first milk produced is called as colostrum, which is a thick and viscous because rich in fat to provide more energy to the newborn baby. So this is how the after the birth the milk start producing, and that provides the nourishment to the newborn baby. So this is all about the process of the how the development takes place, how the parturition after the 9 month takes place, and which is followed by the nourishment of the baby by the milk.